Usually people can't do that today. There is nowhere for them to go. There are just so many people. If they didn't cut down trees, they could not grow crops or feed cattle. And so because they are very poor and can't buy their food, they don't really have a choice, do they? It's not only the farmers who cut down trees. Politic, politician, politicians sell huge areas of the forest to companies because they need the money for their countries. Often, sadly, the politicians are not honest. A lot of money, instead of helping the poor people, is stolen by the politicians. I hope I hope the day will come when the wealthy developed countries stop buying timber from countries containing the tropical rain forests of the world. Surely we can use for furniture made from other wood. Then if the African or Asian or American governments mm, could make more money from tourists going to visit their forests than they could from selling the timber, the future would be much brighter. But what about the hunting? In many of the countries of West and Central Africa, the people love bush, bushmeat. In the old days, that a hunter would shoot or trap animals just to feed his own family, perhaps his village. Not know he kills as many as he can, cuts them up, dries or smokes the meat, and then sends it on a truck to the towns. It's not legal to hunt chimpanzees. They are endangered. But how does anyone know what the animal was when it has been cut into small pieces? Thousands of animals are killed for the bushmeat trade each other. The only hope for the wild animal populations in these countries is that because animals are disappearing fast, they are harder to find and kill. The hunters complain that they have to travel further and further into the forests to catch anything at all. And also it programs for breeding domestic animals can be introduced. At least some of the remaining wildlife will have a chance. If the bushmeat hunters get hold of a baby chimp, they try to sell it as a pet. I can never forget the first time I saw one of these path- pathetic infants for sale in a tourist market of the Central African town. He had a piece of cord tightly around his waist, and this was attached to the top of a tiny wire cage. He was curled up on his side, and when I went close, I saw that he was sweating it in the heat. His eyes were dull and staring into space. It would not be long before he was dead. I made a tiny panting sound that friendly chimpanzees use when they greet each other to my amazement. The little orphan sat up and looked at me and reached out to touch my face. What could I do? What could I do if I bought him? Then a hunter would try to get more infants to sell, but after that gesture, that seemed to beg for help. How could I leave him? I went to see the African ambassador. Together, we called on a minister for the environment. There was a law which made it illegal to hunt and sell chimpanzees without a license, but nobody cared. So the law was never enforced. However, the minister agreed to help this chimp and even came back with us along with a policeman. They confiscated the infant. I cut the rope with a knife. He was free.